You probably all know about New York police officer Lawrence DePrimo. There's a photo of him being passed around the internet that showed him in police uniform bringing a pair of newly bought shoes to a homeless man sitting by the street. The picture was forwarded a lot of times on Facebook, and a lot of people have called it one of the most heartwarming acts of kindness this season. Of course, television stations got a hold of the story and did a number of follow-up reports, including the identity of the homeless man and why he wasn't wearing shoes. But the fact is, this heartwarming story has made its way across the Pacific and generated quite a bit of discussion on Weibo. Now, first of all, some Weibo users were smitten with the police officer and his dashing looks. Some others commented on how kind-hearted American police officers are, while others pointed out that if a story like this is newsworthy, then acts of kindness must be rare. Let's check out some of their comments.
Wow, he is really a handsome man, and he is also kind-hearted as well. His behavior shows there is goodness in human nature. A common police officer doing a good deed. I would expect it from a police officer in America. It's easy to buy shoes for a homeless man, but much harder to help the homeless man put the shoes on. I think the fact that this has become news suggests the acts of kindness such as this is rather rare in the U.S.
Acts of kindness are not uncommon in China, although some would say that it is getting rarer and rarer. Now, there's an old Chinese saying that you should respect the elderly and love the young. However, in recent years, people are finding it harder to live up to traditional Chinese values. Take, for example, a case that occurred in 2006 in the city of Nanjing, where an elderly woman sued a young man for medical expenses by claiming that the young man slammed into her while she was getting off the bus. Now, apparently, she fell down and fractured a couple of bones. She successfully sued him for 130,000 yuan, or roughly $20,000. The young man, however, felt betrayed and wronged and told reporters that he saw the elderly woman hurriedly get off the bus while trying to catch another. And in the process, she lost her footing and fell to the ground. He saw this, helped her up, and she thanked him for it. He volunteered to take her to the hospital, but it was then that the story took a 180 and the elderly woman began accusing him for causing her bodily harm. The judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff, and the young man was ordered to cough up compensation. Now, that was not an isolated case, as similar cases started to show up in the media. The result was that people became paranoid of being scammed. Now, some government authorities came up with rather ridiculous systems for helping the needy on the streets, such as getting a certain number of eyewitnesses who would testify for the good deed should the need arise. Now, spontaneous acts of kindness became more of a hassle and even a gamble. The situation culminated to the point where a 4-year-old girl in Foshan City was hit and ran over by a small van, and nobody bothered to help her. She lay there on the road until another car crushed over her body. Now, while she lied injured on the floor, a total of 18 people had walked past her. And it wasn't until the 19th passerby, a garbage collector surnamed Chen, got her the medical attention that she needed. But by then, it was too late. Now, some foreigners living in China had commented on the coldness of the Chinese to their own people. And that is a problem that Weibo users are well aware of. Let's take a look at some more comments.
I don't think kind-hearted people are only found in America. I'm sure there are lots of them here in China. It just seems nowadays Chinese people are more cold and apathetic than before. Beggars such as these would probably be driven away by local city administration police in China because they damage the image of the city. First of all, the police officer is a real police officer, and the beggar is a real beggar. We have too many fake beggars in China, people that are a part of an organized begging ring. I've seen an old man begging on the street with an old woman sleeping on a mat beside him. The next day, the woman is sleeping there, but the different man is begging. They take turns.
So, hopefully, there would be new policies and laws in place that will protect those who want to help others. Now, going back to the story of Lawrence DePrimo and the homeless man, follow-up stories have uncovered that the homeless man was bare feet because he was afraid that his shoes would be stolen, or perhaps even murdered for them. Now, to some people, that might sound like the paranoid ramblings of a homeless man. But Weibo users took it quite literally, and many were genuinely surprised that anyone would be murdered for their shoes in New York, no less. Okay, let's take a look at some of their comments.
I can't imagine someone robbing a homeless man for his shoes. How can the U.S. government let a former soldier live in such destitute? He must have been scarred by war. I think the beggar didn't wear shoes because he thought people would show less sympathy for him. I guess even in the U.S., beggars still don't have anyone to take care of them.
Hopefully, governments can at least provide a shelter to the homeless during the colder months, both in the U.S. and in China.